without any further ado, we're going to be joined by our second guest of the evening. He is Mohammed Usman, fresh off of his MMA debut, which he was victorious, securing the first-round Kimura, and making a name for himself in the heavyweight division. That's the way to get it going.
No, man. Thank you guys, man. Thank you guys for having me on the show, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to be on with you guys.
The pleasure is definitely ours, my friend. Definitely. Once Ed hit me up and was letting me know we were going to have you on, I was actually really excited. I mean, you replaced John Tuck, who's at the fighter getaway, and I was like, you know what, that's even better. Nothing against John. I'm sure we'll get him on here in the future, but definitely want to pick your brain and talk some things with you. I mean, not often you see collegiate athlete as yourself making that transition over to MMA, and you're in a division that is sorely in need of superstars. You go around, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about regional MMA, local MMA, or even when you look into UFC, Bellators of the world. The one division you can always say that lacks depth is the heavyweight division, and I think you made quite a statement with your first victory there at Tauchi Fight Palace, and I'm definitely looking forward to see what the future holds for you, my friend.
Oh, no, man. Thank you, guys. And I'm excited, too. When I first decided to start training MMA, I didn't want to just come into it and just be that typical heavyweight that just wants to throw haymakers and knock each other out. I went down there to Arizona to train with Chris Carriasso at Rise Combat Sports, and he's a jiu-jitsu black belt, and just studied the sport. And just try to figure out there's so many more ways to win a fight than just knocking somebody out, which I can do, But I wanted to show that I'm very diverse, in my first fight.
I mean, that's like one of the things when I first started following MMA, when I was in my 20s, which was quite some time ago. I mean, it was one of the things like when I watched heavyweights, like Frank Mir was one of the guys that I liked because everyone, like you said, when you talk about heavyweights, these guys who've got absolute cinder blocks for hands and unbelievable torque horsepower, however you want to word it. And in a division like that, you see a guy who maybe doesn't have the greatest striking in the world, but oh my God, does he have submission skills? And it's one of the things that I like about heavyweights that are diverse. And you look at your nickname here is the Motor, so. I assume that has to do with you're just relentless when it gets in there, right?
Oh yeah, when we get in there, it's just all I know is go. I'm not saying I'm just gonna rush in every time, but I'm not gonna quit. I'm not gonna stop. I'm always gonna keep coming until I win the fight. So yeah, that it followed me from football to MMA, and I'm excited to carry on that name.
So Mohammed, hey, real quick, Steve, real quick. I gotta ask you, man. I gotta ask you, since you were a pretty damn good football player, who is your favorite football team at the moment, college and NFL?
College will always be the Arizona Wildcats.
Because that's your alumni. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's my.
That was a dumb question. The NFL.
I want it right now. Right now. I would have to say the Cowboys because it's right up the street from my house, and it's just a team that I like. It's just they win some, they lose some, but I'm a dieharder. I like all teams too because I just love football in general. I just like to watch it. But if you want to just say favorite home team, it's the Cowboys.
Yeah, Steve, I'll let you get back real quick. How tough was that decision to make to pursue fighting rather than football?
It was pretty tough. That decision was pretty tough. I decided to make the decision. The first thing I did was I quit my job because I was actually working at the time, just trying to make a living at LA Fitness, and because I couldn't. From when I first made the decision, I couldn't just say, okay, I'm going to do MMA now, but I still got to work and do these things.
Yeah.
I talk to my fiance, because you have to devote everything to it if you want to have a chance to be successful in it. I learned that quick. You can't half-ass it, and and then say, okay, I want to be the best in the world, because they're doing way better than you are. So I told my fiance, and she said, "I'm with you, Mo. You might be crazy, but I'm with you." I said, "Okay, thank you." And so we started. So she when I got her approval, I just started, training every day and just devoting my days to it and just building a schedule for myself. And then I got with some good coaches. I flew down to Arizona and started training with Chris Carriasso, and my game just started to elevate, and I just became just more obsessed with it. So I'm basically obsessed with it right now.
Now, I'm from Philly, and we got to talk about this Cowboy thing, right?
Oh man!
I still think it's one of the funniest things because, like, I run into Cowboy fans all the time, and I'm not one of these Eagles fans who go get hammered and starts ripping on the Cowboys. I actually the funniest thing
right.
I'm not, dude. I ran into so many Cowboys fans at the draft, and like you see some idiots run by and say some nutty things, and I pull them off to the side. I'm like, you gotta love the drunken idiots, right? But it's the funniest thing is in reality, the Cowboys shouldn't be our biggest rival. When you look at the makeup of that division, it should be the New York Giants, because just plays this vicinity and how often we played each other. I just think that the way our fan base is set up, that because of the I would have to say the love that you guys get in the media over other teams is probably why Philly fans kind of have that disdain towards the Cowboys. But anyways, I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Yeah, well, hey, Mohammed, isn't like the Eagles' worst enemy Santa? Isn't the Eagles' worst enemy Santa Claus? Last time he was there, they beat the shit out of him with snowballs.
This is my thing. How do we keep going back to Santa Claus? That was like 1970.
Because I never will forget it.
It's 2017. They're bringing up something from like 40 years ago.
Friggin' Philly, we killed Santa Claus, yo.
That's
you guys
that's like but if you look at it, that's like someone sitting there saying that the Philadelphia Flyers are the dirtiest team in hockey because of the Broad Street Bullies moniker they got in the 70s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Hey, Mohammed, real quick.
I just had to get it in there. We all have our teams. We all have our reasons to kind of, have love to certain franchises. I'm not one of these fans who is going to sit there and utterly berate somebody over it, because that's just not who I am. But
for sure.
At the same time, you can always have some good fun ribbing throughout the season.
Oh, for sure.
How much smack did you talk?
If I was a Cowboys fan, I'd be a little nervous considering how lost some linemen, lost some stuff on defense. I still think you guys are going to win the division. I just don't think it's going to be as good of a season as you guys had last year.
I mean, you might be right, because at the end of the day, some teams probably, okay, we're going to figure these guys out, because, like everybody comes in and you have that 1 year that people really can't quite figure you out, and then that second year comes around and it's the NFL. So, I think they're going to have a pretty good year, but it might not be as explosive as last year, but they might go further this year.
Yeah. Were you a big smack talker when you played ball?
I mean, we could say when I got mad. I played. I mean, you could say I always played mad, but when I actually got mad, that's when the smack talk came out.
So when I see you in the cage and you start smack talking, I know you're pissed.
Oh, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would never talk if I'm not mad. Like you go to another level when I start smack talking.
Now, I actually think that would do you well if you go around and look at like the landscape of what works in MMA right now. The guys who are overly confident and have some of that smack talking skills seem to have a better time of getting fights they want to move further along. And you look around, you don't have that bravado heavyweight that is outwardly speaking and has a lot to say. So, I'm not telling you to be someone you're not. I'm just saying that it might actually play in your favor.
Oh no, for sure. Like I feel like just me as a person. When you meet me and you see me, not necessarily smack talk, but just just me, just how I am as a person. I feel like if you either you love me or you hate me instantly. But just know that I'm coming to fight every time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's one of the things, and I actually thought it was funny because like literally right before I got Ed hit me up and let me know that you were going to be on, like literally right before that, I retweeted one of these tweets from one of the beat writers who used to follow you.
Okay.
And one of my followers starts getting in a disagreement with him because he referred to your fight as your UFC debut. So he started laying into him about it. I'm like, wait. He means it's like his MMA debut. He's like, no. This guy thinks freaking, it's the UFC is a sport. I'm like, okay, I get it, but like, it's Twitter. I mean, and then next thing you know, like, he's coming at me, he's coming at the other guys. This whole big argument. I was cracking up at parts of it because it was just. It's one of the things you can't take Twitter 100% serious. Some of the stuff, if somebody gets personal with it, that's when things get out of hand. But some of the stuff I was laughing at.
Yeah,
and
that's
the funny part is, you brought up you're a Cowboys fan. This guy was also a Cowboys fan too.
Oh man.
Hey, dude, it was getting to the point. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to watch Bellator. You guys are blowing up my phone with these comments, and half the time I'm just responding with a few words in a picture, just because, or a GIF, because it was just too much.
That's funny, man. But yeah, man, my debut was it was kind of like it was almost like my first college game. When actually how was it? It's almost like my first college game. And coach threw me in there, and I got drove off the ball 15 yards because the game was so fast, and my eyes couldn't slow down. That's how I kind of felt like it was. And
now you just described something like you just said your first game out there. You didn't have your greatest performance. You got pushed off the ball, stuff like that. Does that, and then you go and turn around and look at your MMA debut, and for lack of a better term, you blew the roof off the joint, right?
Yeah.
Being a collegiate athlete, does that kind of, being through that whole experience kind of prevent the fact that you get like what they say cage jitters or octagon jitters? When those bright lights come on, it's time to perform. Whereas some other people who may have not had that experience would probably wilter or underperform to an extent. Do you think that that's something that gives you an advantage coming into MMA, that you probably won't be easily frazzled by the big stage?
I can say to a certain extent, yes. Because we played around so big crowds, so huge crowds. So I've never really had a problem playing in front of a crowd. It's I want to just say, and then how my training went too. I trained real hard. And it came to a certain point too when it's like if you trust your training and you go in there and and trust exactly what you've been doing and how you're gonna perform, it's not a problem. Like right after I really thought about it, and I'm like, man, I've really put in some real hard work. So I was like, I'm just going here and do everything I've been working, and exactly everything that I was working worked quick. So it was definitely it was fun.
Now, another thing I want to ask, obviously, what was the big difference outside of the grappling and the striking aspect, like physical difference between training for football and training for a mixed martial arts fight?
Oh man, football, mixed martial arts is it's a different level. It's constant training. Football you have breaks. Even like during training, it's like it's up and down. It's mixed martial arts. Today we're doing jiu-jitsu. Tomorrow we're doing grappling. The next day we're doing wrestling. The next day we're doing Muay Thai. We're doing kickboxing. We're doing boxing. There's so much you have to do and learn, and your body has to be at a certain level to even be able to compete.
It's like you go to it's like you go to school and taking a bunch of classes, but this is in combat sport.
Yeah. This was the type of school that I want to go to.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you just basically learning how to use weapons, use your body as a weapon, and just continuously learning it and repping it until it just becomes natural. You know, so and that's how I learned. You know, that's how I've always learned playing football. You know, you can tell it to me, but I have to continuously do it. You know, a million times before it can just be natural to me. That's how that Kimura felt so natural because I've been doing it. So I just caught it and just slipped it in, and it was over. And I was like, wow, it worked.
Yes. It's like even when you're confident with something, you don't want to stray away from it for too long because then you'll end up forgetting it. So it's like you got to learn new things, but yet you got to keep going over the same thing that you've been going over to make it the natural way it is. So
exactly.
So I'm starting to understand more, like, you know, the fighter mentality is like I have to go full throttle because if I don't, I'm going to get behind the 8 ball and people are going to surpass me.
Exactly. You can never stay the same. There's no staying the same in this sport. Either you're going up or you're going back. You know, there's no staying the same. You know, it's either you're getting better or you're getting worse. You know, so you got to continuously keep learning and working on the things that work for you, and then learn new things that can help you.
And one thing I was going to ask you too, and I want to throw into that too, the mental game, the mental aspect of it all. You know, as a young child, I think you face some adversity moving to America, and you had to go through the tough times and get yourself to where you are.
Oh yeah, like, you know, me and my 2 older brothers, we came to America fairly early. I was 6 at the time, and you know, we just went through just the challenges of just being, you know, an African in America, and just all the challenges that we face, you know, to this day. And you know, my dad put me in Pop Warner football, and you know, just been playing sports basically my whole life since I've been in America. I've been playing football, and then I started to wrestle when my brother started wrestling in high school. We were successful in that too. So I just been blessed to just know, you know, just always got to work hard for whatever you want. You know, there's nothing given easy.
How important is it? I know you're very proud of your brother, but how important is it for you to separate yourself from your brothers?
I mean, at the end of the day, we're all grown men. We're all human beings. We all have our own lives. You know, like I played, you know, football. He wrestled in college. You know, we're completely 2 different athletes. So, you know, I love my brother dearly, and I'm at all his fights, and I support him all the way to the UFC championship. You know, and so I just. But for me, I'm my own person. You know, I'm a different type of athlete than him. You know, where we just got different attributes. You know, I just try to build myself and build my team around me that supports me and been around me, you know, since I started this transition.
Now, didn't you used to walk out with your brother before you started training? Walk out to his corner?
Oh yeah. I walk out. I walk out every fight with him. You know, all his.
So does he do? He does the same thing with you now?
Yes, he just couldn't make it to my last fight because of he had tightness. You know, tightness C. He's one of the commentators for them. So his flight.
He had to go to work. I understand.
Exactly. You know, and you know, so you're never gonna tell somebody you can't go to work.
Yeah.
You know,
be there in spirit.
He definitely wanted to. Yeah, he definitely wanted to be there. But you know, we talked about it, and we knew the game plan, and then we went out and executed.
Now, I guess the last brother-related question I'm going to have for you is obviously where he's at is where you hope that your journey ends up, correct?
Of course, that's my dream. I wouldn't get into this sport if I didn't want to be the best in this sport in every aspect. You know, yes, I'm. You know, I know I'm going to be there. You know. If you don't know if you don't think you're gonna do something, you shouldn't be doing it. You know, I knew I could fight and be successful. I know I'm gonna be there at the UFC. You know, a couple more. I don't know if it'll take a year or 2, but I know I'll be there, and I know, you know, I know I'll do great things, because my mind is all I have, and I trust myself, my abilities, I love, so everything that I'm doing is for my family, so I can't go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fighters that you don't have to. The UFC doesn't have to be the goal, because some fighters they are fighters, but they don't want to be the best in the world. They just they want to get paid. We've seen it before. It's not a thing. Some people get into it because they're just gifted in certain areas, and that's where opportunities led them. Like you look at what Anthony Johnson just did. He basically just walked away from the sport. A lot of people felt that he still had a lot more to give. Comes back and just says, I really wasn't a fighter. I took advantage of my God-given talents, and this is where it led me, and my heart's really not in it like that anymore, and went off on a different venture. And actually, is one of the things I say to a lot of our guests is, yes, being a professional athlete and a mixed martial artist is a big thing, but I tell all these guys, man, make sure you have another plane. I always bring up, my buddy here in Philadelphia, Paul Felder, who has a degree from the University of Arts. The guy could be an actor, he could be on TV, he could be doing whatever he wants, but he's also a fighter at heart, and he's in that UFC lightweight, that Shark Tank of a UFC lightweight division, fighting some of the best guys in the world. Everyone has their own paths, and I don't believe you're one of these guys that'll just be there to make it there and to say you made it there. When you tell me that you want to be the best in the world, I believe that.
Exactly. That's the things that I've been, like when I first got into it, I didn't just want to be a guy to be like, oh, I made it to the UFC, taking pictures with everybody. I'm in the UFC, this and that. No, like I want to be the best, and that's why I'm training. That's why I'm devoting all my time to training. That's why everything that I do leans towards me being the best at this sport. I didn't go.
Wait, so Mohammed, you don't want to be on Expendables 8?
You said what?
You don't want to be in You don't want to be in Expendables 8?
Oh no.
Okay, good. I was just making sure. You just want to fight. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you look at that, how things will play out, and Muhammad here, thinks that in a year or two he'll be there. In a year or two, I'm pretty confident that there'll be a new heavyweight champion, and that a lot of people are highly touting this guy. I would like to see Muhammad get there to kind of test, the who I believe will be the champion, and not just that. I believe with guys like Muhammad coming in, we could force the UFC to kind of go into different markets.
For sure.
And I've talked about this with Razak, and I would like to see when you get there, hopefully you put some wins together, and you can kind of play for a case to get the UFC to go bring a fight back to your homeland. What do you think?
Oh, that'll be a blessing. That's the ultimate dream.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's quite a few guys I talked to this about. This is one of the marks they really haven't hit. But if I remember correctly, it was also for a long time, it was a thing that boxing promoters were trying to do too, and it happened.
Exactly.
Don King was the one that put it together, back in his heyday. And, with guys like you and some of the guys that the UFC already has on the roster, your brother being one of them, I think it's something that could happen.
Yeah, man, that'll be one of the most exciting cards. If not the most exciting card in the UFC, if they put together a card, with the Africans that are in the UFC, that to fight in Africa, that'll be an amazing card.
I'm not even saying it has to be like a pay-per-view event or it has to be something that's super big. I'm just saying that it's something I think they have enough guys on the roster where it would make sense. They would get the sales they want there. I think the only thing that probably is an issue is the venue, but they did stuff to make Abu Dhabi happen, 4 or 5 years ago. Who's to sit there and say that we can't make this happen?
No, for sure. That something that'll be a dream, but I'm pretty sure it'll happen. I think it'll happen. UFC is the
I think it will. I think with guys like you coming up, some of the guys they have on the roster, I don't see how they could deny it if given the opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, it's UFC is getting bigger by the day, so that'll definitely happen.
I hope it doesn't happen until you make it there, just because it's at a point in principle. I mean, it'd be one of those things where you just missed out on it or something like that. We've seen what happened with Lyman Good. He had an unfortunate situation with USADA, gets yanked out of the UFC 205 event, and he's a guy who was Spanish Harlem right there in Brooklyn for the longest time, and it's just one of those things I don't want to see athletes be missing out on opportunities like this. That's all.
Oh no, for sure, totally right. So hopefully UFC can get it done, man. We want to fight in Africa. Muhammad wants to fight in Africa. We're gonna put it together. We're gonna get there.
I'm sure it will, but as we get ready to wrap things up, Muhammad, what we typically do is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over to you. Anyone you would like to thank, training partners, teammates, shoot out your social media sites, any sponsors that you might have, charities you're working with, anything like that. The time is yours, my friend.
Oh man, I would love to. I'm in Arlington right now, so I would love to start off by thanking Coach Lawrence Burke. He was one of my walkout. He walked out with me this fight. He's my strength coach. He's been. We started the journey together. In the Dungeon Power Cardio. I would love to thank them. I would love to thank Hard Volume CrossFit in Tucson, Arizona. Rise Combat Sports, my home in Arizona. I would love to thank Reyes Boxing down here in Fort Worth. With they've been working tirelessly with me to get my boxing where it needs to be. Marco Santos Jiu-Jitsu. It's a lot of play. If I missed you, just know that Muhammad really appreciates you. Iridium Sports Management, my agency that I work with, and just for putting everything together for me, and for sure Chris Carriazo, he started the journey with me. We got one down, and he's just a mastermind when it comes to fighting. It's crazy that more people don't take notice, but Chris Carriazo is one of the best in the business. And, at Muay Thai Jiu-Jitsu, and he's been like this for a long time. And, so I'm loving learning from him and continuously growing. And if anybody wants to reach me, my Instagram is uMohammed97, UMOHAMMED 97. And my Facebook is Mohammed Usman. And, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys soon. And I'm back to work. Back to work.
All right, man. Keep grinding, brother. Looking forward to the next fight. Hopefully, you get a couple more fights in this year, and probably mid to late next year you get that call. I mean, you're with the right management team. You got the right people around you. It's just a matter of time. You'll make it happen, my friend.
No worries. Thank you guys, and I can't wait. And until then, I'll be ready.
Peace, bro. Put somebody in the face for me.
All right, thank you guys.